Need a good push into the weekend? I got you covered with some must-add players on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. You can find me on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it at Matthew_Ane. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time I drop a new episode. Also, please leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you may listen. It really helps out the podcast. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast, become a member of the Diamond Club on Subtext. We answer questions. We send you waiver wire rankings, prospect notifications, so much more. Plus, you get a free 2 weeks for joining. So check us out on there. Links in the description below. Today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Did you know that it's never too late to resolve tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. All right, we are getting in it. We got a good episode today. We got a quick 30 minutes. And then we all are in the weekend. Isn't that nice? And I think we need to get over that hump, start catching up this weekend. I got some great streamers for the bats. I got some great streamers for pitching. I got everything this weekend. All right. And this is the whole thing. We got to just get in there, kind of manufacture a win essentially this weekend and do whatever we can to get that W or maintain that win. Because you know what? I've seen too many times where I have the lead all week long and then, here comes Saturday. Oh, Sunday. Oh, how did I lose? And I was up like 7-3. I just don't get it. Well, this is what they're doing against you. And now we need to just spin it and maintain that lead. So this first person is a great candidate and a name I like. Just wish his career just would have been better. And that's Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson is hot right now. 42% owned. Oh, I forgot to mention where he's on. Jock Peterson of now the Arizona Diamondbacks. I had no clue he was even there at some points. Dude has just been irrelevant, but 42% owned, and he's having a great week. 7 runs, 2 bombs, 10 ribs, stolen base batting .444. Check, 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 check. Everything I want to see. And this is over the last 7 days. So this is great. Ride that wave to the end of the weekend. If you have a guy, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Fernando Tatis that's not performing. If Jock Peterson is performing and Tatis isn't, you play Jock Peterson over him. You're down, you're up, who cares? You need to catch up on the stats, points, whatever it is. Slide Jock Peterson in, manufacture that win, and just roll to that victory at the end of the week. Look, we're about, what are we in? Week 13 now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. But ultimately, we got to make sure that week 12, we are a little bit more than halfway through. We probably have 4 more weeks till a point of no return where I'm going to tell you to sell very soon, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, where you're going to be out of serious contention to go and make the playoffs. And this is the push now. This is the moment. This is your moment where we're going to take you from last or maybe 9th or 10th or 8th, and we're going to get you over that hump, get you in the 6th, 5th, 4th, whatever it takes to get you there. You'll be surprised how quick you can make up those grounds. So Jock Peterson is going to be the guy that's going to help you get over that finish line. Add Jock Peterson now at 42% of the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, this next guy is another one that's just performing right now, and I genuinely don't even care what he does outside of this weekend, truthfully. Obviously, I'll ride him into next week, but it really don't matter. He has a bad day or two, bye. This is Hunter Goodman. Goodman, man, of the Colorado Rockies. He's 2% owned, so he's out there in most deep leagues too. 14-man, 16-man, 15-man, whatever. He's there. I don't know if I'm adding him an 8-man or 10-man. You can, especially if you're down and he's performing. He's a great stream category. Actually, I take that back. Add him everywhere. If you need a little production, got you. He's your guy. 4 runs, 3 bombs, 7 ribs, batting .353 all week long, and he's at home all week. So you know what that means? He's playing in Colorado, the best place to hit home runs. Okay, there could be another home run this weekend. There could be a bunch of ribs. You can just get on base and get brought home. Hunter Goodman's in a position to actually push you over the edge this weekend and take you from a guy that's not performing to a guy that is performing and bolster those stats for the rest of the weekend. Batting average, check. Power, check. Runs and ribbies, how you doing? Hunter Goodman needs to be added. I don't care about any of his underlying stats. First and outfield eligibility. Hunter Goodman needs to be added now. All right. Well, I'm cruising. We're 5 minutes in and we're just doing this. All right. I'm going to slow down a little bit, actually, because I got 30 minutes to go. All right. JJ Bleday, baby. Another guy performing. I don't care what he does outside of this week, truthfully. JJ is just whatever for all of us here at Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Outfield eligibility, Oakland A's. So this is part of the reason why 25% owned. Bleday is on a team that's not going to give him too much. Okay, there's nobody's really hot over there. Nobody's really doing anything besides Bleday. Geloff got his first home run in a bit. That was nice. Is JJ Bleday going to benefit from that? Maybe, maybe not. But he's doing his thing. He's got 7 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs, batting .417. You see where it is? Look, he's got a lot of runs, meaning he's brought in, but he doesn't have a lot of ribs. But who cares? Seriously, who cares? That the 7 runs, the .417, the bomb. You know what? I like it. He's also playing against Minnesota. I'm not really too scared of their pitching. They have some good names. Do not get me wrong, but they're hittable. And Bleday, if he's hot, might be able to make the difference this week. Obviously, he's maybe not my favorite name going into the week. I think Hunter Goodman's matchup is the one I'm seriously happy about the most. But ultimately, he's going to contribute and be able to push you over that hump this weekend. So Bleday does need to be added again. 25% owned Oakland A's, and Bleday might just make your day or your weekend. Not to do too much wordplay. All right, let's keep moving. Man, this is a good episode. I got energy. Let's talk about Jesus Sanchez. I was going to say Lizardo. Jesus Sanchez. If you don't know who he is, he's interesting. Jesus Sanchez plays for the Miami Marlins. Big boy. I like him a lot, truthfully. I just wish, he would just do more and be more consistent. But when he does go off, he has the ability to absolutely explode. And I love him. He has power. Like, this kid has some serious power. But on the week, the reason why we're talking about him, 4 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, batting .292. Jesus Sanchez has the ability to just go off and seriously put up some numbers. Let me talk about it real quick. First off, 6'3", 222 pounds. Love it. Okay. He has had seasons where he's had streaks of genius, right? Like 22. He had in 313 at bats. He had 13 home runs already. That's a really great pace. Probably looking at like a 26 to 30 run home run season. The only issues that has been his thing is he's never really been able to string all season together. The max at bats he's had in a single season is 360. On top of that, the batting average is a little spotty, but the power is legit. 360 last year, 14 home runs, 313 a year before, 13 home runs. Batted .253, batting .243 on the season right now. If he could put a season together, I think there's 30 home run upside on him. He might be somebody that I let, if he's slumping and there's no better options out there right now on the waivers, maybe I'll hold him for a couple more days to see if he can spark it again. If not, then obviously I'm going to let him go. I don't care that much, especially with his ownership percentage. And I don't know if I said it, at 2%. So with Sanchez, you just treat him like this. Maybe he has a little upside, but if you need the spot, you drop him. You don't care. But he's available in deep leagues, obviously being that he's only 2%. He's available in shallow leagues as well. With his production right now, I don't know if I'm rolling him. I'm picking him over the other guys, especially going up against Seattle. They had a little bit more of a stronger hitting matchup, pitching matchup. But ultimately, Sanchez, the way he's hitting the ball right now, there's nothing that tells me that I wouldn't roll him out there. There's nothing that's concerning me. When a guy's hot, you just got to ride the heater, and Jesus Sanchez is that guy right now. So I would add him while the jury's still like undecided here and is kind of just passing on him left and right. But before we move on, before we continue on this show, and we start talking about pitchers, I got one more bat for you, but I got Nolan Shangle coming up right after the break. I got Slade Cecconi and Jameson Taillon coming up. That is, you're going to want to hear what to do, how to handle them, and we'll be right back after this. That instant confidence boost you get from a new outfit that makes you look real good? That's what I get when I get my Stitch Fix. My style is basic. I like a polo, jeans, a t-shirt, right? Stitch Fix sent me a shirt. I never buy for myself, and I end up loving it, and I rock it all the time. Easily upgrade your wardrobe this year but with a professional stylist that helps you find new trends, favorites that work for you. I just give my stylist my size, my style, and my budget preference. I order a box when I want, how I want it. No subscription required. And send me 5 just for me pieces, outfit recommendations, and pro styling advice. I keep what works for me, and send the rest back. My stylist always sends me just right pieces. Fit is right on point. It's like they have ESP or something. I don't know. They just get me right. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Now is the best time to start with stitchfix.com/slash MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off their first 4 fixes for a limited time only. That's stitchfix.com/slash MLB for $100 off. Stitchfix.com/slash MLB must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Order does not include kids' fixes. Are you watching Fox Sports and ESPN on your TV all day? Have you had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day with the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day streaming live on Locked On Sports Today's 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or free on Amazon Fire TV channel app. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. This season, rely on our dynamic content, get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury actions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. You don't want to miss out. New members get a free 2 weeks. Okay, that's a free every day to be able to get a leg up on your competition for the first 2 weeks. Try us out. I promise you're going to love it. You're going to get rankings on who you should prioritize on that waiver wire today. So join us now. Link is in the description below. All right, let's get back into it. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, right before the break, we're talking Nolan Shangle, man. I love this kid too. I just wish he would just do a little bit more, but I think he's such a young blood and got called up so quick that it's going to take him a little bit more to get going than other players. He pretty much, if you remember last year, Nolan Shangle thrusted his way onto the Angels lineup team last year. Was drafted, and then 75 at bats later, the kid was in the bigs. I mean, granted, he's great, right? He has great plate discipline. He, has a really good eye for the ball, but he just, isn't doing much in like the counting stat categories. I mean, plus the team isn't, the most overwhelming team in baseball. They're just whatever. But Nolan Shangle can actually maintain a batting average, even though he's batting 229, which is kind of abnormal for him. Through college, he was a 400 batting average. Even last year, he managed through his first 109 at bats, 275 batting average. Like Nolan Shangle can hit the ball and does have pretty good plate discipline. Ultimately, I think that there's just a growing pains and trying to adjust to the bigs. I feel like they should have sent him down and not let him and have waited to bring him up to this year instead of last year. It's just really frustrating, but whatever. But Nolan Shangle on the week, the reason why I'm talking about him is he has 4 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs, stolen base, batting 348. Now, obviously, he's the lowest performer out of all of these guys, and he's probably the lowest priority on the bat side of things. But ultimately, I'm kind of just highlighting him because there's that chance where he can just, get a great batting average throughout the weekend and kind of boost you up. I mean, yes, he's going up against the Dodgers over the weekend and has off on Sunday, but those 2 at bats, even if you add them today, play them on Saturday, and if you have same day hits, play them Friday and Saturday, drop them on Saturday after he's played, that's all well and dandy. Maybe he can boost up your batting average. Maybe he can, contribute just a little bit in the runs and ribbies department. Maybe a little bomb. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm just pointing him out because there is upside, especially in the batting average, more specifically in the batting average category than any of the other guys. If I had a bet on which guy was going to get a hit and be able to walk away with like a 250 to 300 batting average throughout the next 2 days, it would be Nolan Shangle out of all these guys on here. So I would add Nolan Shangle again, lower priority guy, 5% owned, Los Angeles Angels. But, I still am, going to add him in a pinch, especially if I'm down in batting average. I need somebody to bolster it a little bit. But yeah. All right, let's move over to Slade Cecconi. Let's switch in some pitcher action, right? You know, this is in daily leagues or even just like, you make changes throughout the week. You lock it in for a few days. This is the perfect guy to add right now. Um, you know, unfortunately, he is going up against Philly, but he has been successful against tough teams. So I kind of am willing, but he's more of like and I take that back as best option. But ultimately, Slade is somebody that like in a pinch, I'll roll him out. Especially against Philly, who's the hot as hell with Trey Turner back. But you know what? He had 6 Ks against Washington. He's had 4 Ks against the Angels, 4 Ks against the Mets, 3 Ks against Cincy, 8 Ks against Seattle. Like the kid's all over the place in terms of like walk to strikeouts and things like that and K per nine. But I feel like if he goes out there, is able to just, have a good 5 innings, not give up more than like 2 runs, which is totally in the realm of possibility. You're playing the Phillies, have a 4 or 5 ERA with like 4 or 5 strikeouts and keep the whip down. You hit on him, right? Like he's exactly what you draft him for. Plus, he pitches Sunday, so you may not be in a situation where you need any categories, and you can just be a little bit more conservative with who you're rolling out on the week. So Slade Cecconi, I kind of would just like take it like this. Depending on how you're looking at the end of the weekend, then I'm possibly rolling them out there and feeling. And if you're not, you're just whatever. You're chilling and rolling. But let's move on. And let's talk about another guy here. I think we talked about him actually last Friday's episode, but he just happened to have another good matchup, and that's Jameson Taillon. He's going up against the Mets. So Cubs play the Mets on Saturday on the 22nd, and this is going to be fun. Yes, Lindor has been hot as of late. Yes, Pete Alonso has looked good, and JD Martinez has been great as well. But you get through the top of that lineup, and the rest I'm not really scared of. Taillon is going to be somebody that can seriously contribute. He's handled himself pretty decently against Tampa, against Milwaukee, and such, and even Atlanta going at 4 or 5 ERA. Like I'm not mad at it, but the other reason is he's 27% owned, and if you're in a pinch, I kind of wouldn't mind rolling him out either. He's a streamer. He isn't somebody I'm counting on long term. But if you can go out there, get you like 4 Ks, go 5 innings, keep the ERA down to like a 4 or 3, I'd be really happy. Maybe only give up 1 run. And, call it a day. Because he does have good stuff. Like, I like Taillon's stuff. And ultimately, like, yes, he doesn't have, like, blow you away speed on his fastball. But he doesn't walk guys. He doesn't allow barreling. He doesn't give up too many hard hits. Yes, I'd love for him to get a little bit more ground balls. But the movement on his breaking ball stuff is fantastic. Fastball has some decent movement. But he does do a really good job in just in general. Like you look at his curveball right now, his curveball has a 226 batting average. His sweeper has a 231 batting average. Now those are pitches that he's not throwing as much, but they're damn near close to as much as his cutter, which is getting hit a little bit. But I think that's going to come down as well. He does have good stuff. Things are getting movement, and this might be one of those where we might have a unexpected, really nice start from Taillon because he does have an pretty good prospect back in his day, has some prospect pedigree, and I think Taillon could be somebody that we're thankful we picked up after it. So, consider it depending on what your situation is going into the weekend. But before we move on, we talk about the last 3 names on here, Kenta Maeda, David Peterson, and Reese Olson. I have one last ad for you. And here on Locked On Fantasy Baseball, we pride ourselves on getting the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, draft, spring training, or playoffs. It's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season, unfortunately. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your properties, which would not be good. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals at Tax Experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and A-plus rating on Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and you need help filing it correctly, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon and see the link in the description below. Okay. So we got 3 names left. I could take my time. I might even have a bonus name for you. We'll see. But let's get into it. Let's talk Kenta Maeda. Um, Kenta Maeda, we all know how he started off last year, where he was then came back from injury and was pretty good, and then kind of fell off. He's all over the place. He's one of those guys that I thought the Dodgers were just being super mean to, but ultimately they knew something we all didn't. The dude can only go about 4 or 5 innings before he really starts breaking down. Yes, he had that one brilliant season that was absolutely magical, but then couldn't follow it up ever again. But here's the thing: he's going up against the White Sox. Okay, you get past Luis Robert, and you're pretty much good. Okay, strategy: walk him 4 times. Who cares? Yes, excuse me. The whip would be a little bad, but whatever. The ERA won't be affected. I'm kidding. I'm straight up kidding. But you know what? He has upside, right? Like we all know who he is as a pitcher. He can get you right under a K per nine. He can suppress the run. He does create, opportunity to be successful, and I just like everything about him. Yes, this year everything on his Savant page looks ugly. Do not get me wrong, but I think there's better days to come with him. You go back a year before, and you look, and he has some good stuff. He didn't walk a lot of guys. He got strikeouts, he created whiffs, he got players to chase. Yes, his fastball is a little bit on the slower side, but he did do a lot of good things. This year, I think it's just a little bit of a slow start, and this could be the get right game going up against the White Sox. It's not like anybody's scared to go against the White Sox. Honestly, I can go out there and pitch against the White Sox, except for Luis Robert. He'll probably rock me, but everybody else, I could probably throw my good old southpaw arm out there and throw my nice 55 mile per hour fastball. That's gonna probably wing him in the head. But sorry, let me stop joking here. But like Kenta Maeda, I think is a good stream this week if you're in a pinch, and could possibly surprise us as well. Now let's talk about David Peterson, another guy that's like another one that's like, I'm okay. We could go out here and start him as well. Yeah, these names are just like obviously all streamers in terms of the pitching. Like nobody here, maybe except our last guy here, Reese Olson, is worth anything longer than this weekend. And David Peterson of the New York Mets is no different at 5% owned. He's going up against the Cubs. Cubs have been decent, has been good of late. Seiya Suzuki's been hitting the ball. They have Cody Bellinger. Pete Crow Armstrong looks good when they let him play. There is, more obstacles than any of the other guys, but in a pinch, I will roll him out there. You know, his last outing against Texas, at Texas, I might add, he went 6 innings deep, got the win, 6 Ks, a 3 ERA with a 1.17 whip. Yes, Miami hit him up the week before, but then was able to handle himself against Washington, was able to handle himself against Dodgers. So it looks like, Peterson goes out there and performs against the talent that's in front of him. And I'll take that. When you play up to your competition, I'm going to play 2 really tough teams and perform out of my mind. And then I'm going to play against one terrible team and, get lit up. Sometimes players just do that. Teams just do that, right? They play to their competition. You're like, oh my God, this team sucks. Why are they not performing? Well, maybe this is David Peterson, right? David Peterson could probably go out there and just put up exactly what he did minus the win. And we'd be happy with it. David Peterson has a good defense behind him, in my opinion. And I feel like a lot of things can go right for him. He's starting on Sunday, so you may not have to leverage this pickup at all. But David Peterson should be added at least for a stream this weekend if you need it. All right, let's move on to this last guy here, Reese Olson. And I might be able to get to a bonus guy too. Reese Olson of the Detroit Tigers. This is going to be fun. I actually really like Reese, and he's available in 29% of the leagues. He's going up against the White Sox as well, so another guy, and I'm all about it. Oh boy. But essentially, he's going to go out there and do his thing. He's been successful. His last game against Atlanta, of all teams, 6 innings, 8 Ks, no earned runs, a .67 whip. Obviously, he got hit by Washington, which was weird, and Milwaukee back-to-back, and Boston. So had a weird three-game stint of just bad outings. But then before that, Toronto, Kansas City, and Miami, and Cleveland, and New York Yankees, and Kansas City again, and Minnesota, and Texas. Those are all awesome starts where he didn't have higher than a 3.38 ERA. That was his highest one out of everything I just read. So, do I think he's going to return to the norm of what he was doing over those span versus the 3 games in a row of of poor performance, yeah, absolutely. I think that he's going to be able to correct it quite easily and be the guy that we want to start this weekend. He's getting it. The only thing that I see that's like a serious like red flag for me with Reese Olson as a whole is his fastball movement isn't quite as beautiful as you'd like it. Isn't red, isn't even like, bordering turning red or anything of the sort. But his break runs value is moving great. Off speed pitchers are getting movement. His extra ERA is a 3.52 on the season, and he has a 3.39 ERA. So like they're pretty close. You know, he is giving up hard contact, unfortunately, but that is what it is because I believe this matchup is at home, so you're going to have that home field advantage, which a great pitching park. He's getting the whiffs. He's not walking a lot of guys. He's not allowing guys to, barrel up. Yes, he is giving up a little bit more hard hits when the people do get hits, but he's also creating a lot of ground balls, which is another thing that I want for a suppressor, especially a pitcher that's going to be pitching in Detroit. Like these are things I'm really happy about in those statistical numbers. That's what you can make up with guys that give up hard contact. If you create a lot of ground balls, you could subside from the fly balls and, they're not getting the launch angle they want. And that's all you need because then, hey, the balls aren't going out of the park as much. Yes, he had 3 bad starts in a row, but I'm willing to roll him out here. It's not like the White Sox scare you at all either. You know what I just said when we were talking about Kenta Maeda. Same reason that I would start Reese Olson. He's probably the best name I had all night, and I saved him for last. So Reese Olson is somebody that you probably should consider going out, being that he's only 29% owned, and add him everywhere. But let's see if I can find somebody else on the quick pinch. Just hang tight real quick. All right, there was really nobody worth mentioning, so I'm not going to go in and try and pull a name out of my butt. But what I will say is this: look at your teams going into the weekend. Look at your matchup. Okay, see who has an off day on Sunday because teams do have a few teams have off, and see what this matchup is going to look like over the next 3 days. Do you need to add somebody? Do you foresee that you have pitchers that are not pitching this weekend and you're, barely have a lead in strikeouts or just in points in general, and they're the ones that contribute the most for points? What is your biggest weakness going into the weekend and try and correct it now so that you can walk away with the W. That's the whole purpose of these shows, right? Yes, I'm going to give you names that are going to be, able to help you out through the week and through the weekend, but ultimately too, how can you best adjust your lineup to be the most efficient going out there day in and day out? And with that, these names, I feel, yes, the pitching names aren't as strong this weekend, but obviously the bats actually are. So if you're down in runs, ribbies, home runs, any of the batting categories, you should add these guys and seriously take it seriously and see what you can get out of this and see, okay, which guys aren't performing right now over the last week and kind of evaluate whether you see anything that's going to warrant them for starting. But with that being said, guys, I want you to have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday. We'll be back with another waiver wire episode, or I'm thinking about a 2-start pitcher week. Let me know what you think. Shoot in the comments or reviews. With that, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, and have a great weekend. Peace out.